What's up, everyone? We are back. My name is Paul Brettel. This is Brennen Roop, and we are going to discuss Amari Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers round 3 selection, who they traded up for. We are going through each Green Bay Packers selection, discussing it, breaking it down. So if you missed the first two, be sure to check out our discussion on Eric Stokes as well as Josh Myers. But as Brennen said when the last episode ended, the fun's about to begin, and I think Amari Rodgers in this offense is going to be a lot of fun. I think he is tailor-made for what Matt LaFleur wants to do. So let's start here. Green Bay Packers, they had the 92nd selection in round 3. They moved up to pick 85, and they paid a good amount. If you follow me on Twitter, following my work, I've discussed the trade value chart, which is based off of what Jimmy Johnson put together back when he was head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It's been changed, it's been modified, but for the most part, it's held the test of time. And going by that chart, to move from 92 to 85, it should have costed the Green Bay Packers a 5th-round pick. They gave up one of their 4th-round picks. So that shows you how much that they wanted to go and get Rodgers. And Gutekunst also said that Rodgers was also between him and Myers at pick 62. So he was on their radar at that point. Mm-hmm. So with that, moving up to pick 85, were you surprised that Rodgers was still on the board, or did you expect him to be at the back end of round 3?
I was very surprised. I had a late 2nd, early 3rd on him, so I thought he, like Gutekunst said, I thought he was in play at 62 for them. So I think it was a great value pick. I'm glad they overpaid for him. Mm-hmm. We're going to probably talk about it, but he's just tailor-made for this offense, and I think he is going to just bring a whole other dimension to the number 1 scoring offense.
Absolutely.
I think when you get to day 2, day 3, or not day 2, day 3, 2nd round, 3rd round, I think it's all about the flavor of the ice cream you like for wide receiver. So maybe Amari Rodgers wasn't for everyone, but I'm glad that he was the flavor ice cream the Packers chose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I 100% wasn't knocking them to trading up. I am fully if he's your guy, you go and get your guy. Within reason, don't be giving up a 2nd rounder to go get him, but you know what I mean. I had no issues with that trade up whatsoever, and that was a big thing. I know. Again, I'm going to get into the weeds here with draft grades, which disclaimer, they're very stupid. They mean absolutely nothing. But I do like to look at them just as a temperature check to what people think of what the Packers did. And for those who weren't a fan of this draft, I absolutely was. But for those who weren't, one of the common themes was that they reached on a number of their selections. The one that they didn't reach on was Amari Rodgers. That was someone who, as Brennen said, was a potential 2nd round, early 3rd round pick. And to rant a little bit here with reaching, those are based off of the big boards. Eric Stokes, for example, I think on a number of people's boards, he was in maybe the 45 to 50 range. Well, Travis Etienne was ahead of Eric Stokes. So let's say he was on the clock, or he was available and the Packers were on the clock. Does that make it a better selection because they weren't reaching? Or if Eric Stokes has a 2nd round grade, the Packers are picking at 29. Is that a great pick at 34, but a reach at 29? So I apologize for going off the rails here, but I just had to get that off my chest, obviously.
Oh, no, I agree 100% with that. Oh, well, if he was drafted in the 2nd round, that's perfect. Well, they were picking at 29, so exactly. If they pick him at 33, it's a great pick, but 29, it's somehow a reach. Okay, sure.
So we've both said that Rodgers is a great fit for this offense. So, Brennen, tell us, what is he going to add to what the Packers already do very well?
Well, so the Packers were the number 1 scoring offense in the league last year, 31.8 points per game or 30.8 points per game. And they didn't really have that yak guy, someone that's going to make people miss, make yards after the catch. And that's Amari Rodgers all day long. He is going to get the ball in his hands. He's going to make people miss. He's going to create yards after contact. I think Pro Football Focus had him for averaging over 8 yards after the catch last season. So I think you can expect LaFleur, to get manufactured touches for him, tunnel screens. Anytime he has the ball in his hands, he's a threat to take it to the house. So you just didn't have that in this offense last year, and now you're going to have that dimension, and I think he's going to put a lot of stress on opposing defenses.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This was very much a pick of this is the type of player that Matt LaFleur needs, because from a height standpoint, he's 5'9", 5'10", I believe. I went back and did some digging. The only receiver that the Green Bay Packers have taken since 2011 who's been under 6 foot is Randall Cobb, who has been a very popular comp for Amari Rodgers, although Rodgers is about 20, 25 pounds heavier, so hopefully has some of that added durability. He also didn't test well based on the relative athletic scoring table, which I know is Brennan's favorite. Maybe I'll give him a platform here. Maybe we'll just devote that to a whole nother episode.
I was going to say that might be a whole other episode.
but Rodgers didn't meet the typical thresholds that the Packers have had. So this was very much this is a type of player that they need. And a credit to LaFleur and just this Packers offense, because they didn't have this element last year, but it's obviously an important element. Having a effective slot receiver, having someone who can be the motion man used on those design touches. It's an important part of this offense, but they use Devontae, Aaron Jones, MVS, EQ, Lazard, and especially those last three, MVS, EQ, Lazard. Those aren't the prototypical slot gadget guys, but they made it work. But just because you can make something work doesn't mean you shouldn't look to improve. And that's what Rodgers can do for this offense. So as far as what he does really well, I know we talked about yards after the catch, which is a new element that this Packers offense will have. Is there anything else when you were watching him leading up to the draft that he brings and will add to this offense?
Before I answer that, I just want to read a quote from Daniel Jeremiah since he talked about the Randall Cobb comparison. He said this after Clemson's pro day in a Zoom meeting with media. I really like Amari Rodgers. To me, he's a day 2 pick. Comparing him with Randall Cobb, coming out of Kentucky, guys with very similar body types. I saw him get work at running back today. I think you can sprinkle him in there back there as well. And then he went on to compare like the body types, the measurables. So I really like that comp. I think he's actually even more explosive than Randall Cobb was. I think he's even more dangerous with the ball in his hands. So I just really like that comparison. I think he's going to make Packers fans very happy. As for other things that he does well, he is a coach's son. So I think he is someone that has the pro mentality already. I think in Dane Brugler's The Beast NFL draft guide, I think he talked about how coaches described him as a detailed maniac or something like that, how he's just very detail-oriented. So I think he's going to come in and fit right away. I think he's going to, if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, I think he's going to earn Aaron Rodgers' trust right away, just with his work ethic, with his route running ability. He's going to bring so much to this offense. He can line up in the slot. He can line up in the boundary. He can be a gadget guy used on jet sweeps. So I think he just does a lot of things well. And I think we can talk about some of the stuff that he doesn't do well in the next thing. But just his route running ability, his yards after the catch, his blocking. I know LaFleur is going to love that, his energy that he brings out of the perimeter. So I think he just does a lot of things well, and he checks a lot of the boxes.
I think it's safe to say, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but he's someone who day 1, week 1 is going to be an integral part of this offense, even if he's not getting touches, but being that motion man and that playing into that illusion of complexity that LaFleur often talks about, taking away from defenses, taking their attention. I feel that he's just going to be an immediate impact player right away, even if he's not always touching the ball.
Yeah, even if it's just the Tyler Ervin role where he's getting 3, 4, 5 touches, I think that's going to be enough for him to make an impact on the game. And because, like you said, defenses are going to have to pay attention to him, because if you're not, boom, he's going to be gone for a simple tunnel screen 60 yards to the house. So it's just one of those things where they just didn't have that dimension last year, where you can get a guy, like you said, you tried to make it work with Allen Lazard. No offense to Allen Lazard, he's a good player, but he's not Amari Rodgers in that mold where he's going to blow over a cornerback and then boom, take it to the house.
I think with a player like this, it's fun to imagine those design touches in space, like you said, the jet screens, the sweeps, all of that. But as a contributor out of the slot, do you imagine that that's going to be still where he makes his biggest impact, or do you see it as more in the gadget role?
I think he could make an impact in the slot. He's a good enough route runner. I think he is pro ready on the underneath routes. So I think that's somewhere he could make a killing, and that's where he did make a killing at Clemson. So I think he is ready for that. I think he, as well as being a gadget guy. So I think there's a chance for him to be wide receiver 3 in this offense while being the gadget guy. So he's someone that I think is going to see a lot of playing time as a rookie.
Perfect. Checking off a couple of boxes. So we've gushed over Amari Rodgers here, but where are some areas that he can improve on?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was, when you asked me this question before, I was trying to think of something. And I think it's his hands. I think he had 5 drops this past season, according to Pro Football Focus. And I think a large part of that is because he's such a playmaker where he's looking to get upfield before completing the process. So it's not like he has bad hands. It's just he's looking to make a play, which you can't fault him for wanting to do that. That's something that the coaches are going to have to coach him up on. But it's also out on the perimeter. He plays with a lot of energy out there, but he needs to do a better job of sustaining his blocks as well. So those are the 2 areas where I think they're small, but they could show up on week 1 where he's trying to make a play and he drops a critical 3rd down reception.
And we know in this Packers offense with LaFleur as the head coach, he will absolutely get coached up on that blocking ability and finishing.
Yeah.
So last piece here, obviously the initial thought when you get anyone, an offensive player, defensive players, what are their contributions going to be to that side of the ball? But Amari Rodgers has ample return experience at Clemson. And as we all know, the Green Bay Packers special teams unit has been, we'll just say, not good. We'll keep it at that. And one thing that I did, just a broad stroke, taking a look at this draft, you could tell that special teams was absolutely an emphasis with the players that they got. Eric Stokes has experience, Shamar Jean Charles, Isaiah, the linebacker in the 7th round, as well as Amari Rodgers. So you could tell that was an emphasis, as it should be. This unit was horrendous last year. So as far as what Rodgers can bring to special teams, do you think that he's going to be the kick and or punt returner come week 1? Do you think that's a capacity that the Packers will play him in?
Yeah, I think he's going to be day 1 punt returner and kick returner. It's been 84 years, as Rose Dawson would say, since the Packers had a good special teams unit. So Amari Rodgers, I think, is definitely going to give the return game a shot in the arm. I think he averaged 8.4 yards per punt return. He's like a running back with the ball in his hands, so he's going to make something out of nothing and actually make punt returning worth watching and not getting up and going to the bathroom. So get ready, guys. Amari Rodgers is going to not only change the offense, but change the special teams.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, because honestly, there were times last year where on the punts where you're like, just stay away from it. Just let it bounce, let it go wherever it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was definitely a wild ride when it was a punt return or kick return.
Unfortunately. So there you have it. There's Amari Rodgers. He's going to come in. He's going to make an impact. And if you've watched the first 3 videos that we've done here with these day 1 and 2 selections, that's the common theme. The Packers got ripped apart last year because of the lack of contributions that folks thought that they weren't going to get from those early round picks. And as we saw, Josiah DeGuara, he was going to play a huge role in this offense had he not got hurt. But immediately after the draft, gut reactions was that they didn't bring in any immediate impact players. That isn't the case this year. As we just said, Rodgers is going to be a force on offense. He's going to contribute on special teams. Josh Myers is going to, what we think, be the week 1 starter at center. And then Eric Stokes as well could be CB2 out the gate. But even if he isn't, when they release the starting defense, if his name's not listed, he's still going to see the field quite a bit. So the Green Bay Packers got some immediate help.
Not to cut you off on Eric Stokes either, but even if he doesn't start, he could be a week 1 gunner on special teams. So it's one of those things where he could even be a day 1 contributor in that way. So
absolutely. So there you have it, folks. My name's Paul Brettel. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel. You can find all my work at Dairyland Express and Cheesehead TV. Brennan, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Royal_Roop, and then you can find my work at Game On Wisconsin.
Be sure to follow Brennen. Be sure to follow Game On Wisconsin. He's doing terrific work there, and I mean terrific. Next video will be on Royce Newman, offensive tackle from Ole Miss. Until then, take care, everyone, and go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.